Hello, and welcome to Cutting Through. I'm Mitchell Putnick, the president of Rethinking Foreign Policy and the author of the Cutting Through newsletter on Substack. I want to speak today about an incident that happened in Gaza yesterday. The Israeli military dropped leaflets written in Arabic all through the Gaza Strip. These leaflets, which I will read to you a translation of in just a moment. These leaflets are only the latest proof of genocidal intent on the part of Israel. This is not something that people can deny anymore. The willful commission of war crimes. Um, Israel's not making any secret. Israel never did make a secret of it. Only their advocates have been trying to make the case somehow that Israel's not committing war crimes, when Israel itself is saying and has been saying all along from the very beginning, since the attacks of October 7th, 2023, Israel has been saying all along, we will commit war crimes. They have been explicit. They have not tried to hide what they're doing. Their soldiers post videos of their war crimes on social media. Israel has consistently talked about it. As soon as Donald Trump came up with his own plan for war crimes, Israel and the Israeli public enthusiastically embraced it. We got to stop kidding ourselves. We got to stop having this conversation. The issue is not whether or not genocide's happening. The issue is whether or not we're going to do anything about it, whether or not we care. And it is very unfortunate, as I've discovered to my chagrin, people I thought were the kind of people who, had they been alive in, in Germany during World War II, would have at least objected to what the Nazis were doing. Of course, you were taking your life in your hands, no doubt about it back then. The risk is lower now, and yet we're still seeing people who just, they'll call me an anti-Semite, they'll call me names. I might be risking professional consequences or something. It's genocide. And I'm seeing people who I thought, had real progressive values who just don't seem to care. And I've been seeing it since October 7th. I've been seeing people who call themselves liberals, moderates, centrists, who have been absolutely filled with bloodlust and remain so. Since October 7th. There was early on in this, I was approached. I got a message from a friend and colleague in Israel, someone who works in international law, and has been doing good work for a long time, cautioning me against calling what Israel was doing genocide. This was about a year ago. I mean, this has been going on for some time. The ICJ case, the International Court of Justice case, had already begun. South Africa had already brought it forward. The ICJ had already said that there was at least a prima facie case that was legitimate for it to move forward with an investigation of the accusation of genocide. I mean, clearly it was not a baseless accusation. It may still turn out that the ICJ comes up with some bizarre reason to not call this what it so obviously is. But it's rare historically that genocide is committed. And go look up. I've said it before. I've put it in print in a number of my articles. Go look up the legal definition of genocide. There is no case that Israel has not met the definition. There's just absolutely no case. In fact, it's very, very rare, not unknown, but it's rare that a party committing genocide on this scale would actually fulfill the intent part. Genocide means intent. You have to be trying to do it. You can't commit genocide, legally speaking, by accident. It's something you have to be trying to do. And Israel has demonstrated the intent. I mean, usually, most of the time, not all, but most of the time, states that commit genocide don't actually say we're committing genocide. Israel's saying it. And these leaflets are another example of it. So let me get to what they wrote and what they told. This is essentially their way of sending a message to all the people of Gaza. It was translated by in Arabic, and I do not read or speak Arabic. It was translated by the noted Palestinian American scholar Jihad Abu Salim, whose work is outstanding wherever you may find it. And I strongly recommend that you follow him on social media and in other places. But he did us the service of translating these leaflets. And here is what they said. Quote, to the honorable people of Gaza, after the events that have taken place, the temporary ceasefire, and before the implementation of Trump's mandatory plan, which will impose forced displacement upon you, whether you accept it or not, we have decided to make one final appeal to those who wish to receive aid in exchange for cooperating with us. We will not hesitate for a moment to provide assistance. Reconsider your position. The world map will not change if all the people of Gaza cease to exist. No one will feel for you. No one will ask about you. You have been left alone to face your inevitable fate. Iran cannot even protect itself, let alone you, and you have seen with your own eyes what has happened. Neither America nor Europe care about Gaza in any way. Even your Arab countries, which are now our allies, provide us with money and weapons while sending you only shrouds. There is little time left. The game is almost over. Whoever wishes to save themselves before it is too late, we are here, remaining until the end of time. Jihad also helpfully notes that on the leaflets at the top, they added verses from the Quran. And what they added read, quote, we will certainly test you with a touch of fear and famine and loss of property, life, and crops. Give good news to those who patiently endure, who say when struck by a disaster, surely to Allah we belong, and to him we will all return. They are the ones who will receive Allah's blessings and mercy, and it is they who are rightly guided. There aren't really words for this. There really aren't. I just can't even. I just don't know where to start. One of the things I think we need to look at in what Israel is communicating to the people of Gaza is where they're, cruelly and without regard for any sense of ethics or common decency, telling them things that are true. They're not wrong. Does America or Europe care about Gaza? No. I think that's been amply proven over the last 16 months. That's been clear. I mean, much longer than 16 months. Gaza, and we can talk about decades and decades. Even before Israel's occupation, it was true even of Egypt, the intentional de-development of Gaza. Sarah Roy, professor at Harvard, wrote an excellent book about that. Nobody cares about Gaza. Nobody cares about the Palestinians. And I'm old enough to remember when things really shifted. During the first Intifada was the first time, and there had always, of course, been people who were trying to bring to light the plight of the Palestinian people. But it was a marginal force. It wasn't central to any sort of Western, I'm talking about the West now, any sort of Western liberal or left, really, program. For the first 40 or so years of Israel's existence, it really was not a thing. It started to change in the early 80s with Israel's assault on Lebanon. I think people started seeing things a little bit differently. It was really the first Intifada where it started to shift, but it was still many years after that Palestine became a cause for leftists in the U.S. and it never became one. Still isn't for liberals. Liberals still are just trying to find a way to get away from it, and to the extent they want it resolved, it's to be resolved for Israel's security, not for the good of the Palestinian people. Or because it's just this foreign policy pain in the ass they just wish would stop already, but there really is not a concerted effort or even motivation to help the people of Palestine, especially in Gaza. That was true before October 7th. Since October 7th, it's a whole new world. Um, you know, the ability of Western liberals to simply close their eyes to what's happening is appalling, and we see it everywhere. We see it in the media. We see it in our day-to-day lives. I see it in people I thought were better than that, frankly. People around me, people who I just can't look at and never will be able to look at the same way again because they just don't care that they themselves are complicit in genocide. It's not some abstract thing that's happening due to a conflict that we only bear the most marginal connection to because in the United States we're connected to almost everything. Um, this is something that we as a nation, as a country, have directly participated in and are continuing to, as we see with Trump's plan. So when Israel says this to the Palestinians, it has to ring a certain amount of truth. I think it's been great nowadays that there is a significant movement among American and European progressives, especially more in Europe and more in the United States among younger people. But still, there's a real movement to support the people of Palestine, not for any of the reasons I mentioned earlier, but because it's the right damn thing to do. Uh, it's always been the right damn thing to do. There is a Jewish movement to support the people of Palestine that I'm proud to have been part of for many years and continue to be a part of, an active part of. Um, Again, and it's because it's the right thing to do. I mean, as Jews, we may also be, as I certainly am, motivated by the fact that that what Israel is doing, ostensibly in the name of the Jewish people, and unquestionably with the support of many, many, many Jews worldwide, in and out of Israel, um, is something that as a people we may never recover from, and it's horrible, and it matters. Um, but primarily, we do it because it's the right damn thing to do, and because nobody can survive in this world unless they are, you know, rich, white, and male, and heterosexual, and cisgendered, and all of that stuff. Unless we are together, unless we work together to battle against these injustices. And there is no greater injustice going on right now than what is happening in Gaza. So that's one part of what they're saying. They're not wrong that people have shown, people in power, countries as they speak on a world stage have shown the best they're going to offer Palestine is lip service, and Palestinians is lip service. And Israel and the United States have realized that that is the case, and as such, there are no constraints on what they will do. No international law doesn't begin to apply here. It can't withstand the power of the United States stacked up against it. It just can't, especially now if the rest of the world is not going to take a stand on these issues. And they've made it clear that they're not. And it isn't only the United States and Europe, it is very much the Arab states. They are worried about what might happen if the US and Israel create another 2 million Palestinian refugees that are expelled from the land of Palestine and into the greater Arab world, and what that will mean for their countries and their rule and how their people will respond to it and how it may upset their societies and their economies. It's all about the self-interest, and I think this is where we've failed so much. We've looked for all these different reasons to get people involved in supporting the Palestinian people, or supporting a two-state solution, or supporting this or supporting that have nothing to do with it's just the damn right thing to do. It's if we want to be a human race with humanity, what we think of as humanity, of a humanity of caring about each other, of supporting each other, and of trying to come together to live into a better future. Um, there is no other choice but to support the Palestinian people. The reality, though, is that um, Israel is very much intending to force out the people of Gaza. There's no real ceasefire. This ceasefire was never going to last past phase one or possibly phase two. There might be an Israeli withdrawal back to the border for a minute in order to facilitate the release of the rest of the hostages that are there. Not because Israel cares about them, because the Netanyahu government has demonstrated amply they don't give a damn, and neither did the Biden administration, and neither does the Trump administration. This is all about propaganda. They couldn't care less about the lives of these people. And again, we shouldn't minimize the fact that none of those hostages should ever have been taken. That should never have happened. That is a huge crime, huge. And in the last analysis, now the latest thing that people are using, the IDF are using, frankly, to inflame the feelings of people in the United States and Israel is that, oh no, we have done our examination. We found that the two Vivas children were killed by Palestinians, not as was thought in an Israeli airstrike. You can believe that claim or not. I think it's interesting the military is making it rather than hearing it from possibly a more credible source. But in any case, in the end, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change that two facts. One, that they never should have been taken in the first place. This was an enormous crime, and the fact that Israel has done worse by taking many, many more people and imprisoning them in literal torture chambers, often for months upon months, doesn't change how much of a crime this was. And these are both crimes. It's not a contest. It's all wrong. It also doesn't change the fact that Israel bombarded Gaza without a care in the world for what was going to happen to their own hostages. Nor does it change the fact that Israel had the opportunity to free every single one of these people over a year ago and refused to take it because they wanted genocide instead. And they were willing to sacrifice their own citizens in order to get it. These are truths. These are facts. Do we care? And frankly, does not seem like most Americans do. They seem content with this. But let's not kid ourselves that there's some ceasefire, that the genocide is over. It's not. This is a temporary lull so that Donald Trump can say, look at how many hostages I got out that Biden couldn't. Biden tried for a year. He couldn't do anything. I come into office and bang, look at all these hostages that are being released. That is what the ceasefire has been about. And it's the only reason it came about. And even if they do really release the rest of the hostages, and even if Israel does withdraw as phase two demands completely from Gaza, they'll just come right back in. They're making this very, very clear. They're telling the people of Gaza, we're going to come back in and we're going to drive you out. And we can do it, they're saying, because Americans and our own citizens and the people of Europe don't care. And the Arab dictators don't care. And they're right. Because we have not proven them wrong. And it's time that we do. Because while we quite rightly are getting very worried, even though we're not doing much about it, about what Donald Trump is doing to the United States, as well we should be. This is the spearhead, Gaza, and genocide, and legitimizing that and saying that this is okay, that this is something the United States can legitimately back, that this is who we can be outside of our borders. I mean, that has implications inside of our borders. If we can do this, then why can't we destroy what little democracy we have in this country? Why not? This has been the spearhead of tamping down resistance and of dividing people who might oppose Trump. This has been what and turning anti-Semitism, turning the definition of that into meaning nothing but criticism of Israel, which is now what it means in the United States. As I and other people have warned about happening, this is now happening. It's not just in the United States; it's in Europe as well. Allowing that to happen, these things cannot be separated. So if you can't oppose the genocide in Gaza, when Israel is saying this is what we're going to do, they're using the time during the ceasefire to tell Gazans, get out before we do this, because if you don't, we're going to just drive you out and kill you. Then we're lost to begin with. There's no point to talk about how to stop Trump because we can't, because we're not worthy to, because we're as bad as he is. I don't believe that that's true. I think there's enough of us that know how wrong this is and that can step up. Okay. And I think that all you need to do is raise your voice. There's people out there. You can look at Jewish Voice for Peace. You can look at Empower. You can look at American Muslims for Palestine. You can look at CARE. You can look at the ADC. You can look at so many groups that are out there working very hard to try and raise awareness of what's happening to Gaza and to try and get people to do something about it. You can, because it does matter, even if it doesn't seem like it can, because how can we stop the US government from doing what it wants to do? Even if that's how it looks, the fact that we raise a voice will matter. It will matter tomorrow. If we can't make it matter today, if it's too late and too overwhelming, the effort will mean it will matter tomorrow. And there will still be Palestinians to help tomorrow. So no matter what happens, it's not a waste. I'll be continuing to talk about this, continue to write about it. So please like, subscribe, share. If you can go to mitchellplitnick.substack.com and become a paid subscriber, that really helps me to continue to do this. Working on setting up some more interviews. I know a lot of people enjoyed the interview with Daniel Levy recently. There's a lot more of that to come on various themes. So I hope you can support us and keep this work going. It's never been more important. So we all need to stay together. Thanks.